Do you feel a little bit of, do you feel some responsibility? Do you feel a lot of responsibility for the frustration that MEPs felt yesterday? It was the format that they argued maybe didn't allow their questions to be maybe as targeted to Mr. Zuckerberg as everybody would have liked.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. But first of all, I think it's important for the European Parliament to be at the center of the political debate on data protection. Second point, Mr. Zuckerberg is not obliged to be here because he's not European citizens. The Conference of the President, the most important political organization inside the European Parliament, decide this format. Question and answer between the leaders of the political groups and Mr. Zuckerberg. I think it's important for us to have three most important engagements. To apologize with European citizens. The second point is he will respect the new data protection rules in Europe. Third, he will work for a good election campaign for 2019. We need more answer, but Mr. Zuckerberg said, you will have right answer from me in the next days. I will inform all the leaders of the group on the content of this answer. It's possible, okay, to have more, but the format is the format decided by the Conference of the President. 1 hour and a half is a political debate, and the 4th of the next month, in June, we will have a very hearing with the most important leaders of the platforms, also with one of the most important managers of Facebook. For this meeting will be a very hearing. Yesterday was a political meeting, question and answer. I think for me it's important to have more guarantee, for example, on on the competence inside the European Union between the different platforms.
Mr. Tajani,
the danger is to monopolize the situation by.
Mr. Tajani, do you understand the frustration that people like Guy Verhofstadt feel, though? He was clearly frustrated by the format. He was clearly frustrated by the failure of Mr. Zuckerberg to answer his questions. Did Mr. Zuckerberg get off lightly yesterday? Did the format allow him a free ride? Do you understand the frustration of those like Mr. Verhofstadt who did not get answers to their questions?
The problem of frustration of Mr. Verhofstadt is a personal problem of Mr. Verhofstadt. I think the success is to have Zuckerberg inside the European Parliament and not in other national parliaments. This is a very clear success of the European Parliament. The European Parliament is at the center of the political debate. Zuckerberg accepted our invitation to be a guest during the Conference of the President. This format was decided by the Conference of the President. It's not my personal decision. We will have, as I said, another hearing, technical hearing with one of the most important managers of Facebook. I think every member of the Parliament will ask to Facebook what do they want.
OK, let me just, do you feel after yesterday's hearing, we have the arrival of GDPR coming up on Friday. That is going to be a significant step forward for data regulation here in Europe. Do you feel after yesterday's hearing that Europe needs to enforce the regulations more tightly, that it needs to make sure that it is a leader when it comes to data? It was interesting yesterday that the European Parliament understood the difference between data and content. Data is important here. Does GDPR need to be pushed a little harder, enacted a little harder?
It's only the meeting, yesterday's meeting is only the beginning of our work with the most important platform in the world. We are working in defense of the European citizens. we want to protect the European citizen. We want to implement our new rules on data protection. We want the respect by the different companies of the rules of the European Union. This is our engagement. We will work hard in defense of our citizens, first of all, for the European election 2019.
Okay. Mr. Tajani, one final quick question, and something a little closer to home for you. Do you worry that the new Italian government could pose a risk to the Eurozone project? Do you worry that this could be an existential threat to the Eurozone project? What do you see happening in Italy?
But as President of the Parliament, I want to know the real program of the next government. As member of my party, I am unhappy. I disagree with this agreement between Five Stars and Lega. It's not good for Italy, it's not good for Europe.
Mr. Tajani, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Interesting conversation. Antonio Tajani, the President of the European Parliament.